Welcome to this new series on the Hidden Structures channel. Here you will learn how to reveal hidden structures in any random packet of playing cards. Okay, I have here a deck of cards, and we're going to work with 12 cards in this particular video. It's just a good number of cards to work with. So if you were here, I'd have you shuffle the cards to your heart's content, okay? Now, since you're not here, I'll go ahead and give it a couple of shuffles, and then we will be selecting 12 cards from random places in the deck. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go. We have 12 random cards. In fact, let's just give these a further mix, okay? And I wish you could get in here and help me mix these. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the cards, primarily to convince you that these are in no particular order. These are just random cards from a shuffled deck. Okay, so take a look at these cards here. Can you see all of them just fine? I guess we should double check that we actually have 12. Okay, so does that look okay to you? Okay, well, very good. So what we're going to do now is, since we both saw the cards, let's go ahead and just begin to randomize the cards further. Okay. Should I stack left on right or right on? You want left on right? Okay, very good. If you were here, I'd have you randomly cut the packet wherever you would like. We can also do something called a Chardelier shuffle. This scrambles the cards really well. It's similar to a packet cut, but you just do it a number of times so that, oh boy, no one could possibly know the order of the cards now. And then we're going to follow that up with something called a Klondike shuffle. And this is a really fun shuffle to perform. This is where you take the bottom and top card off as one. Top and bottom off as one, until all of the cards have been set on the table. Very good. Okay. Now, we're going to mix the cards as much as you would like. In fact, we can deal out into 2 piles, or 3 piles, or 4 piles. I'm trying to keep the dealing down so that you don't fall asleep. Which of those should we do next? You want me to deal out into 3 piles? Okay. I'll go ahead and do that into 3 piles. Now, would you like me to stack from left to right or right to left? From left to right. Okay, that's very good. Would you like me to deal out into 4 piles? Just to really mix these. You would. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll try not to make too big of a mess here. Would you like me to stack from left to right to left this time? Are you sure? Okay. Very good. Right to left this time. Okay. Would you like to do any more of those? Yes, you would. Okay, into 2 piles. Okay. This time, what would you like? Stacking left on right or right on left? Left on right. Okay. We can also do something called an up jog. It's kind of a fun one to learn. Would you like to do an even or odd up jog? Even. Okay. Well, what that means is you push forward, you jog up the even position cards. Okay, just like this. Okay, very good. And then you just strip those out. How would you like these stacked? Left on right? Okay, very, very good. Okay, do you feel like the cards are sufficiently mixed? You do. Okay, very good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to Klondike pairs of cards to the table. Just like that. In fact, we'll make a little hexagon here if the cards would stop sticking on me. Okay, there we go. A little hexagon. Is that kind of fun? Okay. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, using the cards that we discarded, I'm going to choose one of these cards, okay? Now, I won't tell you what I'm choosing quite yet, but you'll find out in just a moment. So I'm going to go off camera just for a second to choose a card, and I'm going to place it right there in the middle. Let me just clean up our mess here, by the way. I'm a little bit OCD about organization here. Okay, so I've selected a card from the remaining cards, and its identity is not known to you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to see how many color pairs we have in these 6 piles here. Okay, so how many of these are of the same color? Well, how could anyone know that? Think about the mixing that we've done. We started with 12 random cards. I did what's called an LR shuffle, and then we cut the cards and did a Charlier, and then a Klondike, and then I think we dealt out into 3 piles, then 4 piles, and then into 2 piles. Then I Klondike pairs to the table, creating this fun hexagon shape. Okay, so let's see how many of these are of the same. Oh, there you go. Those are both black. Okay, that's not a matching color pair. That's a no match there. No match for that one. Just slide it this way. No match there. Just out of interest, what did I think the number of matching pairs would come out to be? Well, let's reveal here for the first time the identity of the card that I set down. Well, I predicted that we would have exactly 2 matching color pairs. Well, we have one so far. So this one better be, for my prediction to be true, it better be a matching color pair, and I believe it is. And in fact, I believe it's a red matching pair. It is indeed. So let's talk about how this is done, and you could do this right away if you just kind of follow the steps and perform the shuffles that I performed. This will work for you every time. I do want to point out that the 12 cards were indeed randomly selected. There was nothing special about the cards except the fact that we had 12 of them. Okay, I have on display on the left side of the screen what I call the hidden structures diagram. Knowing even a small portion of this diagram, you can do amazing mathematical card magic that will make you look like a wizard. So the 3 structures that we're going to focus on today are the 3 in the middle. The one that says 2C, that's for 2 cycles, mirrored, M for mirrored, and then something called an AMP. Okay, those are the 3 that we will focus on. Now, I've drawn a simplified version of this diagram so that we can focus on just those 3 structure types. And these are the core structure types in all that I do on this channel, okay? So the over 500 videos I have created thus far, a vast majority of them will involve either a 2-cycle structure, a mirrored structure, or an AMP structure, okay? So learning just these 3 will quite honestly give you a lifetime of fun, interesting, and mind-blowing card effects that you can play with, design your own, and perform them for family and friends. The particulars of the 3 structure types are found below at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so here is a 2-cycle structure. I have it listed. So it's something of the form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the case of 12 cards, and then again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there is a repeating pattern that repeats twice. For a mirrored structure, you can see probably right away why we would call this mirrored. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you can think of this center line right here as kind of the reflection line for the left and right hand pattern of the cards. And the last one's called an AMP. Now, AMP stands for adjacent mirrored pairs. And so you can probably see what's happening with this particular structure. What's happening here that's different is we're looking at a 1, 1 followed by a 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. Okay? So the thing to realize is we're viewing the ones as related, as equivalent, as a pair of interests that we would like to reveal. And the 2s as well, and the 3s up to the 6s. So there are 3 different configurations that will be of value to us moving forward. Now, I should mention also over here at the top, I'll click on it. Here is a list of shuffles that will either preserve a particular packet structure or convert it from one to another. Okay? So let's go ahead and kind of show you the basics of what I just did. So I'll return to our simplified diagram. Okay, so what I did was, so think about how I started. I started with a shuffled deck of cards, and you can as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just mix it a couple of times. We'll deal out 12 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, very good. 12 random cards. You can mix those as much as you would like, or have the spectator mix them. Okay. Now, it is important for you as the performer to see the packet of cards, at least briefly. Okay. Now, the way you sell this is you say, well, I want you, the spectator, to see how well mixed these cards are. Okay. So we're going to put these out and have them just quickly look at them. Okay. Now, for the video today, we are going to focus on starting packets that are AMP packets. So down at the very bottom there, we're focused on AMP structures. Well, what's an AMP structure? Well, as you can tell, what you're doing, this is the top card of the packet all the way to the bottom. So what we're doing is we're taking the cards in pairs. And so what I secretly did, it just takes a second to do it. I'm going to jog these so that you can kind of see the pairs. I secretly counted how many matching color pairs do we have, starting from the top. Well, that's a no match, no match, no match. Okay, we have one in the red. If you want to remember that they're hearts, that will make the reveal even more powerful. Okay, a match there. Oh, another match right here. That's pretty darn amazing, by the way. So we get another matching pair of hearts. Okay, that is great. And then a no matching color. Okay, so we're really only focused on color. Now, I do want to point out something, and try this for yourself. If you choose 12 cards, you can mix that packet as much as you like, and then just randomly put out 12 cards and lay them out. And you will be surprised by the amount of structure and coincidences with, like right here, we have 4 hearts in a row. Whoa, how does that happen? Well, it does. The idea of randomness is what they call clumpy. Okay, so a lot of people think a random packet is like red, black, red, black, red, black all the way through. That's like the opposite of random. Okay, so in a truly random packet of cards, you expect to see strings. Now, we do see like black, red, red, black, red, black, but it will happen by chance alone that you'll get strings of blacks or strings of red or strings of hearts, or we perhaps could have gotten 3 clubs down here. I mean, that can happen at random. It truly, truly can. And so try it for yourself. Well, how does that help you? It helps you because you will be able to find interesting relationships among the cards that you can reveal at the end. Okay? All you would need to do if you wanted to perform what I showed you at the very beginning is remember the number 4. That's all you need to hold on to. Okay? And so this right now is a AMP structure. Okay, so it's of the kind at the bottom. Okay? And now it ends up that you can do a lot of things with an AMP structure that either leave it alone, meaning you won't upset the fact that you have 4 color pairs, okay? So what I did was, and you can do the same thing. So what I did was, if you rewind the video, after I showed you the cards, and now in my mind I'm just remembering the number 4, I dealt out into 2 piles. Well, take a look at the diagram. What will that do to an AMP structure? What does it do? So the left-right shuffle, that's over here, left-right, LR. What is that going to do to an AMP structure? It converts it to a 2-cycle structure. And it doesn't even matter if you stack left on right or right on left. You give the spectator that choice. Isn't that nice? So maybe they stack right on left. That's just fine. Okay, so now this is a, quote, 2-cycle structure. So in some sense, it looks just like the one down here. But of course, with names changed for the specific cards that are in this packet. But now it has this repeating pattern kind of arrangement relative to the 4 color pairs that we want to preserve in the end, okay? Now there's some wonderful things that you can do with 2-cycle structures and not harm that organization. Okay, so here this is structure preservation. So look down the list here. So there's a number of them. Okay, I mentioned that you can do a cut, a random cut. Okay, so the spectator could be allowed to do that. That won't hurt the fact that it is a 2-cycle. I also mentioned right below the cut on the table there something called a Charlier shuffle. And I have a separate video on the Charlier shuffle. This is a very powerful shuffle, a very good one to learn. It's equivalent actually to just cutting the cards at some location. All of the movement of the cards that I just did is equivalent to just cutting the cards somewhere in that packet. Okay, so the Charlier shuffle, top to bottom, bottom to top, top to bottom, bottom to top. Okay, and you just repeat that as many times as you would like, and we haven't harmed this 2-cycle. And then from there, if you recall, I did this fun shuffle called the Klondike. This is where you take the top and bottom card off as one, okay? The Klondike shuffle. This is a very common shuffle and very effective in mixing the cards in a way that the other shuffles don't quite achieve. But where would that take us? So the Klondike shuffle is right here, shuffle 14. Well, what I did was I just Klondike shuffled a 2-cycle. Well, that's going to take us to a mirrored structure. Okay, so this is, quote, mirrored now. Okay, what does that mean? Going back to our simplified diagram, it means it looks something like the middle one here, M, where the color pairs of interest to us are found in positions reflected across the center. Okay, so they're in a, quote, mirrored relationship. Well, it ends up that there is a whole host of mixing procedures that will not harm mirrored structures. The most important among them, look at all those M's going down the middle here. The most important among all of them is something called the stay-stack principle. So the stay-stack principle says that if you have a mirrored organization for the packet, for each divisor of the packet size, well, the packet size here is 12. So 12 has several divisors. 2 divides evenly into 12. 3 does. 4 does. 6 does. Okay? So 12 is a very nice number in the field of mathematical card magic because of all of its divisors. Okay? So what that would mean then is that we can deal these cards into 2 piles with random stacking of those piles, 3 piles with random stacking from left to right or right to left, or 4 piles with random stacking from left to right or right to left, And you can even deal into 6 piles, stacking from left to right, right to left. None of those will harm the mirrored organization of these cards relative to the color pairs we made note of at the beginning. Okay, so that means you truly can ask the spectator, okay, well, let's mix these cards further, and we'll go ahead and deal them out into maybe 2 or 3 or 4 piles. It's really your choice. And then have them choose. And so maybe they'll choose 4 piles now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. With random stacking from left to right or from right to left. And in fact, if you look at the chart over here, the shuffle that we have just performed is referred to as an RC shuffle. So this is where we're dealing into a number of piles where that number divides evenly into the packet size. Well, next to the RC name, there's something written, namely plus J. J there means judicious. And judicious just means that you can stack the piles in more ways than just left to right or right to left. You can perform something I call a leapfrog stacking. Okay, so let's go ahead and just deal out into 4 piles. And so we could stack from left to right or right to left, or you can do a leapfrog. This is where this one leaps over and lands on top of that one. It's kind of a fun stacking to do. This one leaps over that one and lands on that one, and then you can randomly stack these two. None of that harms the mirrored structure of this packet, which is absolutely amazing. Okay? And then, so after you've performed as many of those dealing outs into 2 or 3 or 4 or even 6 piles if you would like, what I did to finish was I took the cards and I Klondike pairs to the table. And so I did it in such a way that we created this fun little hexagon, if you remember. Okay, I'm just doing a Klondike, but I'm dealing these little pairs into this hexagon configuration. Okay, very good. And then at this point, you can go to the deck, and can you guess what value card I'm going to be looking for? You know, you don't show the spectator the face of the card you've chosen. Okay, so you're kind of looking at the cards yourself. Okay, now if you remember, we spotted 4 color pairs. You remember that? It was 4. I mentioned at the very beginning, we just need to remember the number 4 to the very end. So what I would do is choose any 4. Now most likely there will be a 4 here. It's not likely that all of the 4s have been taken. It could happen. And if it does, then you can point that out to the spectator and say, wow, I'm looking through the remaining cards and I'm looking for a card that has the value that equals the number of color pairs here. And I can't even find that card there. Isn't that amazing? Well, I can tell you right now what it is. And so you could state 4 right now before you reveal these if you like. But most likely you'll be able to find a card of that value. Okay? And then at this point you can say, well, considering all of the mixing that we've done with this random selection of 12 cards, where key choices and decisions were made by you, the spectator, and the fact that I could not possibly know what decisions you would make, I've put down a card in the center as my prediction for something interesting about these pairs. I believe the value of this card that I've selected is equal to the number of matching color pairs in our hexagon. Okay, so how many of these pairs agree in color? Oh, there we go. We got 1 match. Any more? No match there. So we just have 1. Oh, we got a second. Okay, so we have 2 matching color pairs. Oh, we have 3. Oh boy, look at this. We're down to, once again, okay, I can even just, now that I've kind of told you ahead of time, the value of that, which you wouldn't have to do. You could leave it to the very end like I did in the original performance. But boy, for my prediction to come true, these have to be of the same color. And are they? They are indeed. Okay, so I hope this gives you a sense of the power of identifying hidden structures and patterns in any random packet of cards, making note of that, being clear on which of the 3 structure types you've decided to begin with, and then as we go through this series, you'll learn which shuffles allow you to, quote, preserve an AMP. Let's say, this is an AMP now, right? It has those color matching pairs. It's almost like we're back to the beginning in some ways. Okay, so which shuffles preserve this structure, which will convert it to a mirrored structure or a 2-cycle, where we can do additional fun mixing of those, and which shuffles preserve 2-cycle structures, and which ones preserve mirrored structures, okay? And with the list I've given you here on some of the basic shuffles used on this channel, you truly can create virtually countless surprising card effects. So thank you for joining me for this introductory video, and we'll build on what we've started here. And if you want to go more deeply into these ideas, then I encourage you to work through the Hidden Structures Boot Camp series, which is a fun, kind of light series that will ease you into many of the ideas that we will be making use of in this current series. So thank you again for watching.